Hey, what's up everybody? We are back again, and today apparently I woke up and chose violence because I really want to piss off absolutely everybody in the trap metal community by asking the question, who is the new king of trap metal? Because after doing my recent video on Scarlord where I really dug into why I don't consider him the new king of trap metal despite many people saying that, and why I do consider Little Darky the actual king, I thought it would be best to explain why I feel that way. But after reading many of the comments on that video with people talking about why they considered either one artist or another the new king of trap metal, I thought it'd be best to look at the prime candidates for people who could take the throne and tell you why I think they can or can't. Because there definitely are a lot of artists out there that are kind of in the B tier of trap metal. They feel like they could be the face of the entire genre, but they don't move up for one reason or another, and I want to explain why. So right off the bat, when we're talking about who can be the new face of the genre, it only makes sense to look at the old king of the genre, Zelakami, and his partner, Sosmula. Because I mean, honestly, that would make way too much sense. I mean, Zelakami ended up getting taken down, Sosmula was his partner through his entire career, Sosmula is still around in some capacity, so it only makes sense that he would become the new king. But I already kind of talked about why that can't happen in the recent video that I did on Sosmula. He's definitely been hurting quite a bit since City Morgue ended up breaking apart. He's doing his own thing, kind of moving away from the genre, and really I don't think he wants that throne in the first place. I feel like Sosmula was somebody who kind of hopped on the trap metal wave to get himself where he needed to be. I'm not saying that he never had any passion for the genre, but I'm pretty sure if Righteous P had came to him and said we're gonna do boom bap rap to get to the top, he probably would have done that too. All he wanted to do was really blow up and start making money off of music one way or another, and he did that through trap metal. He kind of used it for what he needed to use it for, and now he's willing to move on to a more creative venture. I mean, after all, if you ever watched that old interview with the two of them, he said he was always more of a fan of classic rap as well as the SoundCloud scene, and never really was a big fan of metal overall.
Like, the sound is a work in progress. I hate new school rap, but I love old rap. Like, it needs another element. Like, if it's rap mixed with like funk, I like it. If it's rap mixed with rock, I like it. You know what I'm saying?
Don't get me wrong,
no other
like,
influences.
I like trap music. Like, I listen to the trap, I like it all. I like everything, so I like it all. But I try to just stay away from shit that sound like everybody else's shit.
You need a melody. That's literally it. It's not that it's rap, it's that you're missing something that connects to people.
And finally, after about 8 years of City Morgue being a popping group, I think if Sosmula was going to be marketable to the mainstream audience, he already would have popped off in that way. I think his look is a little bit too aggressive, I think his style is a little bit too aggressive, and I don't think he's ever really going to be accepted by the mainstream. I know I've said it before, but I definitely think that Sosmula needs to move in that horrorcore type of direction, become kind of a Ouija Mac in the underground, respected by many different genres with a very strong fan base, but never somebody who's really going to be the face of anything. And the guy has spent way too long in somebody else's shadow to really be the main character, but hey, there's nothing wrong with being a sidekick or side character. As long as you're making money, making music, and you got fans, you're doing well. So God bless Big Sleaze, but you're not going to be the main character of trap metal, sorry to say. But anyways, with him out of the way, I feel like it makes sense to look a little bit farther back into the history of trap metal at the man that many consider the father of the entire genre itself, Sybyr. Now I'm going to be honest with you guys, if we're talking about influence here, then Sybyr definitely is the king of trap metal, but that's not really what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about the king of trap metal, I'm talking about somebody like Zelakami. You have to have everything going for you. The influence, the representation of the genre as a whole, the popularity, the big fan base. And as well loved and respected as Sybyr is in the genre, he never really had that massive fan base that the Morgue did. I don't think he can sell out massive shows like them. I don't think he's ever going to be doing stadiums. He doesn't even get invited to Grey Days. And the dude never really gets the respect that he deserves. I really feel like Sybyr should be on the level of somebody like Denzel Curry at this point. Maybe not mainstream or known by everybody, but definitely heavily respected in the underground and known by people who are in the know. But I would say if you're going to do a trap metal iceberg, Sybyr would probably be about 3 tiers down. He's not really on the top of the iceberg, he's not in the sky. You kind of have to know a little bit about trap metal to really know who he is. He's kind of like an MF Doom in the trap metal scene, your favorite artist, but unfortunately at this point I do think he's a little bit past his prime, and while he is a really nice guy who shows a lot of respect to his fans, if he hasn't become the face of the genre after almost 10 years of making it, I'm afraid it's probably not going to happen. So sorry Sybyr, I'm definitely a big fan of you, but you can't be the king of trap metal. So bouncing off of Sybyr, I also want to bring up a couple people that are definitely going to get heavily mentioned in the comments, even though to me I wouldn't consider them trap metal at all. For some reason, emo rap and trap metal always seem to get mixed together into the same genre. Whenever you hear people talking about the underground or trap metal or scream rap, they always bring up people like Lil Peep, Suicide Boys, Ghostmane, Bones. I mean, Lil Peep, that's ridiculous. Suicide Boys definitely don't make trap metal. metal. I know a lot of people would consider Bones as a trap metal artist, but I mean, the guy screamed on a couple songs. He definitely doesn't make that type of music on the regular. Ghostmane is somebody that I always see get brought up when people talk about the top 3 in trap metal, but to me, he doesn't really make that music at all. He has like one album where he screams a little bit, but even that isn't really trap metal. I think people mostly consider him that now because he tours with a band that makes kind of rock/metal-esque music, but that's not really trap metal, that's actual metal. Also, Ghostmane is a terrible person, and I definitely don't think we need somebody like that at the top of the genre again, so I'm gonna disqualify him for this conversation. After that, we gotta look into people like Kamiyada, Fuck It, Black Sand, all the guys from Midnight Society. They kind of have the same problem as Sybyr, where they're definitely heavily respected in the genre, but they never really broke through in that type of way. I think if you want to look at one artist from Midnight Society and call them the king of trap metal, it could be Kamiyada. There is a couple YouTube videos even claiming that he's the king of trap metal, but to me, I really don't think he is. I mean, he definitely did a lot for the genre by starting off one of the first big collectives to ever pop out of trap metal, as well as being heavily invested in the whole AMV wave, starting off channels like Trash AMV, so you gotta give him respect for that. But with a big part of his fan base being in Japan, I definitely think he's a lot more popular over there than he's ever going to be in America, so once again, I can't really call him the king of trap metal. After that, I want to bring up people like Gizmo and Sinister. I definitely respect both of these dudes, and they're doing their own things with their own fan base, but I feel like they're both trying to kind of move away from trap metal and don't really want to be a part of it anymore. Which, with the way the scene is right now, can you really blame them? I mean, I wouldn't really want to be part of it either when every single artist that you work with ends up being a scumbag or trying to use you for clout or trying to do a dirty deal with you and steal your money. I think both of them should be looked at as staples in the genre, but with them moving in their own direction, you really can't consider either one as the king. Although with Gizmo's new album coming out with some pretty big time features, that might change in the near future, but we gotta wait and see. Okay, so initially when I was making this video, I forgot to mention Cameron because I know a lot of people also consider him the new king of trap metal, but let's be honest guys, I fuck with Cameron too, but I feel like a lot of people are only saying that because they have a lot of nostalgia for Zillakami and they want a new Zillakami, but I feel like people weren't really fucking with Cameron like that before this all happened. I mean, I'm happy to see the guy doing better. He definitely seems like he wants to do stuff for trap metal. He even had Vythe produce his recent album, which is definitely pretty cool to see. But the king of trap metal guys, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't really see it, but I also want to mention right here that Vythe has a new album out. People really want me to talk about Vythe's new album, so here you go. Vythe has a new album out. Everybody knows now, okay? Can we move on? And I guess people would say Dirty Butt, but let's be honest guys, you're really not fucking with Dirty Butt the way that you guys are making on. I mean, there's no way that you actually like his music that much. You guys just want to be part of extreme trap, don't lie to me. I mean, I'm not hating on it, you gotta do what you gotta do to get to the top, but you guys are glazing way too much. Dirty Butt is definitely not the king of trap metal. And on top of that, the only other artist that I think people might try to bring up is Zarkon, but let's be honest, that's another glazing act. If you're from Arizona, you probably know about Zarkon, you've probably done shows with him, and that's super cool and everything, but let's be honest, the guy had one Zillakami feature like 5 years ago and has basically made an entire career off of that, which once again is pretty cool. I mean, if you can do that, definitely do it, but him siding with Zillakami after everything came out definitely put a bad taste in my mouth, so I don't think that guy belongs at the top of trap metal. After that, we got the Xanakin Skywalks, we got the Kill Dills, we got the Little Toes, all those masked up artists, although recently Little Toe did take off his mask and start making different types of music, which is pretty cool, but because he recently started doing that, I don't think you could consider him the king of trap metal when he's not even really making it anymore. Xanakin apparently is a terrible person, that's what everybody's been telling me, so he doesn't need to be the king of trap metal. Kill Dill is definitely pretty cool, although I gotta say he's only recently started to gain popularity, so I think we need to wait a couple more years before we really see if that turns out or not. Using TikTok to promote his music is definitely a really good idea, and I feel like he has a pretty solid wave going for him right now, but at the same time, he's still doing pretty small time shows, so we might have to wait a couple years before we really see if it turns out or not. We also, I guess, have Witch House 40k, who I don't really consider a trap metal artist all that much. I would consider him kind of a leveled up version of Kill Dill, definitely has a really solid wave going for him. He seems to do pretty big time tours, but at the same time, I think he needs to perform at Grade A before he can really see if he's going to pan out or not. I think he definitely has his own spot in the genre, and I definitely could see him moving up in the world in the future, but it's all going to be up to him if he's going to try to do that or become more like Nascar Aloe and kind of just stay on the same level. Black Sand hates white people, and with 90% of the fan base for trap metal being white kids, I definitely don't think that he can be the king, so we'll move on from that. Fuck It is a really cool artist that makes really dope music, but I don't think he does enough to really stand out from the crowd, so you can't really consider him the king of trap metal. Josiah, as much as I love him, doesn't really have a strong enough persona to transfer over to being the absolute top of the genre. He definitely is a good feature and he looks good standing beside another trap metal artist, but him being the main character doesn't really seem like the move at this point. On top of that, I don't think the genre is ever really going to accept him the way that they should. Unfortunately, a lot of people see him as corny, not really sure if it's because the way that he looks or the type of music that he makes. And unfortunately, once you get hit with those corny allegations, it becomes very hard to knock them off. Not to mention, I feel like he already kind of had the chance to be the king of trap metal back in 2019 when he had all that momentum going for him with Shenanigans, Case 19, and Crisis. I mean, the guy got a music video on Lyrical Lemonade and got a feature from 6ix9ine back in his prime, so you're not really going to get a whole lot bigger than that, although recently he did get a feature from Waka Flocka, which is super cool. However, I definitely don't feel like Crisis was the right pick to get on Lyrical Lemonade. He has a lot better of songs than that, and I'm not really sure why that was the one that got picked, but it was probably Cole Bennett's choice, so you can't really say a whole lot about it. On top of that, I really don't think Josiah I Am was the best first impression that he could have made. I mean, I do understand why he did it. He wanted to do a bunch of different genres on his first project to prove to everybody that he was more than a trap metal artist. But when you're only really starting to get your foot in the door in the mainstream industry and people don't know what you're about yet, trying so many different styles is not a good move. I mean, bro, you're not XXXTentacion. You should have just went with a straight up trap metal album. And then when it came to your second album, you could have experimented a little bit more like City Morgue. But either way, he ended up doing that. There's no way that he can change it now. And ever since, he definitely does make good music, but I think he messed up his buzz a little bit. So yeah, I think I did a good job of talking about anybody that could be considered a candidate for being the king of trap metal. But now I have my top 3, and all 3 of these artists really could be considered the king at one point or another, but there are reasons why 2 of them can't be and why 1 of them is. So the first one I want to bring up is somebody that I didn't really consider when I was making the Scarlord video, but is a pretty good candidate for it nonetheless, and that's Killswitch. Now Killswitch is an amazing artist. He makes great music in both the trap metal genre as well as his more emotional stuff. He's really able to mix a lot of different styles together. He's a good singer, he's a good performer. His albums are really well put together and professionally mixed. He does big time tours and not these little warehouse tours like other people in the trap metal community. The girls really love him, which is pretty important when it comes to trap metal artists. I mean, this guy really has it all, although I will say that his look really is a little bit off. I remember listening to a lot of his music on Spotify and really digging it, thinking that he was a very talented artist, but once I actually seen a picture of him, I was like, really? That's the guy behind this type of music? He's a little bit too much of a cutie patootie to really look like a trap metal artist, but either way, if the women like the look, then the women like the look, and let's be honest, if the women follow the music, then the men are sure to follow. Don't lie to me, bro. I know exactly why you got into Suicide Boys. There was that one girl in your high school that you were really into and you found out that she liked that type of music, so you started listening to it on a daily basis, trying to remember all the lyrics so you could impress her. And after getting connected to her through a couple friends and going to that one meetup, you ended up rapping Antarctica word for word, and the 2 of you immediately hit it off and started going to Suicide Boy concerts all the time. You guys ended up eventually dating and staying strong for 2 years together, where you both started to get into drugs, only to find out later on that she was actually cheating on you the entire time, and now those lyrics really hit close to home, don't they, bro? Okay, that's a completely made up story, but I bet there's gonna be one person in the comments being like, bro, how do you know my life story? How do you know that about me? I know it, guys. You only get into this type of music when you want to pick up chicks. I mean, come on, dude. We all love Lil Peep, but let's be honest, when the 10 out of 10 gosh shotty pull up to the function, you're gonna be rapping Beamer Boy word for word. Don't get me wrong. I'm the same, bro. I'm the same. I see you. But no, Killswitch really has it all. I mean, good music, big time performer, a big fan base that really loves him. Why is he not the king of trap metal? Well, unfortunately, guys, it really all leads back to one factor. The guy is signed to All But Six, and we already know that Puya has some pretty dirty, terrible allegations that will eventually come to light and probably tear the entire operation down. I mean, the kid is so talented, and I've really heard nothing but good things about him when it comes to his character. Apparently, he's a really quiet, nice guy that everybody gets along with. But let's be completely honest, absolutely everybody in that circle is using him for everything he's worth. They're definitely milking him for money, and unfortunately he is eventually going to have to break loose from that if he's ever really going to shine as an artist. But anyways, Killswitch, if you do happen to see this video, I just want to let you know that I have absolutely no animosity to you whatsoever. I'm actually a pretty big fan of your music and really think that you're a good guy. I've heard through the grapevine that you're a little bit nervous that me and King are going to try to come after you and tear you down over the whole Young Rare situation, but let's be honest, Young Rare is the only one who tried to bring you into that. I know you didn't really have anything to do with it in the first place. Unfortunately though, since everything went down with that, a lot of people have been boxing you in with Young Rare, and the only thing I can say about that is I think that you should come clean about your past, because it kind of feels like you came out of nowhere with you very rarely speaking on how you really came up in the first place. I mean, you don't gotta acknowledge me, you don't gotta acknowledge King. I wouldn't even really explicitly speak on the whole Young Rare situation if I were you. I would do a couple interviews where I talk about my come up, how I really got to where I am now, and I think if you did that, you'd be in a lot better position. But overall, I do understand that you don't really have full control over your career, and Puya has a lot to say in what does and doesn't go, so all I'm trying to do is give you a little bit of advice. But hey man, you're the multi-platinum artist that's making it big time in the underground scene and about to break through into the mainstream, and I'm some junky YouTuber, so overall, you don't really got to take my advice. You're doing pretty well for yourself, but either way, it's here if you want it, and Puya, buddy, we're coming for you. That's a joke. That's a joke, everybody. Haha, super funny, right? Don't sue me, Puya. Please don't sue me. I don't really got any money to give you, man. But anyways, now that we talked about Killswitch, we got the man himself, the big time artist who's really gonna save trap metal, Nascar Aloe. Now guys, this is probably gonna be a little bit controversial, but I'm gonna say it either way because, you know, I don't need NASCAR to be popular, so I'm allowed to speak on him openly, unlike a lot of artists, wink wink. But I truly feel like all the love that NASCAR gets isn't very genuine, because a lot of the artists you see gassing him up also have pictures with them, they've opened for him before, and they feel like they need him or might be able to use him to get a little bit more clout. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad artist. I actually like quite a bit of his music, but we gotta be fully honest about his career. He came out the gate incredibly strong with those TikTok hits. His first album was really good. He ended up getting that Zelakami feature and he was flying to the moon. It really felt like he was going to be the next big thing, and then he basically completely screwed it up by putting out a trash album that nobody liked. He ended up getting pretty addicted to alcohol and pills, and of course we already know Death Proof, the label that he signed to, is a complete piece of shit that doesn't really do a whole lot for him. There's been nothing but controversy around it ever since, and let's be honest, everybody thinks that NASCAR is a really cool guy who connects to small time acts because he really wants to put people on in the underground. But the real truth behind that, and the reason that NASCAR works with so many small artists, is because he's not very organized. I mean, I get it, it's the underground dream. You start making music, you pop off enough to make enough money that you can do it as a full-time thing, you end up signing to a label that's not really a big mainstream one, so you can still have full control over your music. But I really think that NASCAR kinda did need a mainstream label to help him out, because the people around him clearly don't really care about him all that much, letting him get completely plastered and drunk on stage and fall all over the place. I mean, I get it guys, it's punk, it's so cool, yeah, he doesn't give a shit, he's gonna get on drugs and go up there and fall all over the place, it's super edgy, but I mean, if he did that on a big time stage like something like Rolling Loud or Grey Day, he's not gonna be able to go back. So he's basically doomed himself to small time performances all over the country, which definitely do make money, don't get me wrong, he's living life the way he wants to live it, but he's effectively blackballed himself in the underground scene, and you're never really gonna see NASCAR get any bigger. I know he has been making a little bit of better music in recent years, but to me, I'm sorry to say, I know you're not gonna like this, but it basically sounds like watered down Little Darky music.
Do you like acting? Yes. Do you like fully automatic sense of gaskets? Yes. I'm tripping into my door now. I am patiently fading this over gracefully made believe, thinking about when the pay believe, how am I gonna pay for it?
I know, it's sacrilege. NASCAR was supposed to be the one. He was supposed to be the one to rise through the ranks, and all of you guys have worked with him before, all of you guys have opened for him before, so he has to be a big time artist, right? I'm really sorry to say this, guys. I don't want to say it in a dickish way, but if NASCAR was really as big as you guys make him out to be, he probably wouldn't be working with small time acts like you guys. I mean, look at Killswitch. He's not working with small acts. I mean, look at City Morgue. They didn't really let small acts open up for them. Look at any other trap metal artist. They don't let random people from random cities come out and do 3 songs before they perform. I know it feels really cool to be part of extreme trap, and I don't want to take that away from anybody who feels like they're making it in the industry, but let's be honest, the only reason that they're doing that type of thing is because they want to bring in more people to perform for them so they can do less work. And unfortunately, it's basically the classic SoundCloud story where alcoholism, drug use, and laziness destroyed NASCAR's career. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's probably going to keep performing until the end of time, and after all, he never really said that he wanted to be a big time artist, artist, but at this point, he doesn't want to be the king of trap metal. He's not really doing anything to accelerate his career or make himself any bigger, so Nascar is going to remain right where he is, probably until the end of time. Whew, so you guys mad at me yet? You hate my guts? I'm sorry, but somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it. I'm so tired of the glazing of Nascar and Dirty Bot. I mean, the guys are cool. They make decent music, but you guys don't really fuck with them the way that you're making it out to be. Shout out to absolutely everybody doing their thing, but you people with big egos thinking, yo, I know NASCAR, you can't fuck with me anymore. Come on, buddy. Everybody knows NASCAR. My Uncle Jimmy knows NASCAR, for fuck's sakes. But with all that said, now that nobody's watching anymore, let's get into the actual king of trap metal and why I consider Lil Darky to be so. And I think the reason that I consider Lil Darky the king of trap metal is because he does everything that the other artists don't. Because similarly to Sosmula, he has been kind of moving in a different direction musically in the last few years, but despite that, he always returns to trap metal to continue to make that genre, and it doesn't seem like he's ever fully gonna get away from it. And on top of that, he hasn't been in the game for like 10 plus years like Syrange. He's only been around 5 to 6, and in those 6 years, he's definitely made strides to become bigger and bigger. I mean, he's basically the only artist I can think of that goes from one strength to another. Unlike fucking Josiah, he doesn't really have to worry about the way that he looks, because despite definitely not looking like your average trap metal artist, the little character that he has is universal and is loved by everybody from G59 fans to random white girls in the suburbs, which when you think about it might be the same people, but anyways, his production value keeps going up and up and up. Unlike NASCAR, he definitely seems to have a decent team around him despite not being signed to a big time label. The guy invests his money into the right places to make sure that his music videos are very impressive to watch. I mean, when you watch his recent stuff, there's no way that you would know that he was an independent artist. I don't see any other independent artist doing stuff like this. Unlike Silikami, he never really tried to divide himself away from the underground, with him putting on the entirety of Spider Gang, although let's be honest, the only reason he did that was because, you know, he needed to pack out shows back in the day, but either way, he put them on. And before anybody in the comments calls that a backhanded compliment, that's not a compliment at all, so don't even call it that. On top of that, he also does big time shows while also doing smaller time shows with artists like Josiah and NASCAR, so he's kind of in the best of both worlds. He's constantly popping up on TikTok and doing big time numbers on there. He never ended up selling out or selling his soul to a big time label to try to get a little bit more popular. He basically is the perfect underground success story. And on top of that, I love his music. I love how it's so chaotic but controlled at the same time. I love how an album can be completely different all the way through, but it still flows very perfectly. But I hear you guys, I hear you. You're glazing Lil Darky. He's actually not a good guy. I have problems with him. He did this and that. Well, you know what? That also is a good representation of the underground scene. Because yeah, Darky is probably also a little bit of a scumbag. I've heard some bad things about him in the underground. It could be people being jealous. It could actually be true. But let's be honest, the entire trap metal scene is full of scumbags. Almost everybody in the scene is either probably scammed somebody, robbed somebody, gone to his show and got into a fight with somebody they shouldn't have, fucked with a girl that was a little bit too young, you know, a woman, stuff like that. Some of you have even completely stolen songs from other people and not given credit. Other people have stolen royalties from other people. Some people even threatened to rape infants, which is crazy. I wouldn't know who would do that. And some people even put the sounds of dying animals on their tracks, which is also completely crazy. That wouldn't be the same person, would it? But either way, guys, all I'm saying is that the trap metal community is inherently scummy. So having somebody at the top of it that's, you know, probably a little bit racist, probably a little bit too edgy for his own good is a perfect representation of the entire scene. And let's be honest, as far as I know, Darky has never a woman. He's never with an underage girl. He's never beat a woman. So I mean, that's basically all you can ask for in this fucked up, disgusting, weirdo scene. I fucking love you, trap metal. I love you, Lil Darky. All hail the new king. There will be no further discussion on this topic. After all, only my opinion matters in this genre. I'm the one that everybody needs to listen to. How dare anybody ever speak against me? How dare anybody ever have an opinion? But no, for real, if you have a different opinion, definitely leave it in the comments below. I am super excited to see what people have to say about this video as a whole. Also, while you're down there, make sure to leave some knife emojis for Knife Gang. If there's anybody left in Knife Gang at this point, I don't know. But either way, whether people like it or not, I gotta say the truth. I gotta say what I think is right. And of course, if you disagree with it, make sure to let me know. I want everybody to let me know. And with that said, we have now smashed past 20k subscribers. We're now moving towards 21k, which is completely insane. I'm definitely heavily considering making that follow-up Jumix video with how well the first one did, although I do have to be careful about it because is some pretty serious allegations coming from a different person. But either way, if you guys want to see that, get this video to like 500 likes, I guess. I don't know, guys. I'm off the bean, the lean, the cuisine. So I'll see you in the next one. Fuck with the team. I'm feeling mean. I don't know. Do. Peace out. Bye.